A Roman official is dead. Not killed in battle, not executed by the Pharaoh. Torn apart by an Egyptian mob in the middle of the street. His crime? He accidentally killed a cat. The year was approximately 60 BCE. The Pharaoh himself, ruler of Egypt, one of the most powerful men alive, attempted to intervene. He sent word, he appealed for calm. The mob killed the Roman anyway. Because in Egypt, at that moment in history, not even a pharaoh's word could override what had just happened. A cat was dead, and someone had to pay for it. This is not legend. This is recorded by Diodorus Siculus, a Greek historian writing in 60 BCE as a first-hand account of Egyptian society. And once you understand why that mob did what it did, why a cat's life outweighed a Roman diplomat's, why even the pharaoh was powerless in that moment, you will never look at a cat the same way again.
To understand how a cat became untouchable, you have to go back, not to religion, not to mythology, but to grain. Ancient Egypt ran on agriculture. The Nile flooded, the fields grew, and that stored grain was the difference between life and death for every person in the country. Grain has one enemy above all others: rats, mice, snakes. A single infestation could destroy months of stored harvest. Venomous snakes killed farmers, workers, and children regularly. Cats solved both problems. Not as pets, as precision hunters deployed against the only threats that mattered in an agricultural civilization. One cat protecting one grain store was protecting the food supply of dozens of families. That practical value, repeated across thousands of years, across every village, every farm, every royal storehouse in Egypt, slowly transformed into something else, something sacred.
As centuries passed, the Egyptians did what humans always do with things they cannot fully explain. They made it divine. Bastet, goddess of home, fertility, protection, and joy, was depicted with the head of a cat. Not symbolic decoration. Theology. Cats were the living, earthly embodiment of Bastet. Not a representation. The actual goddess, walking through your home, sleeping in your sunlight, hunting in your fields. To harm a cat was to strike the goddess herself. Bastet's cult center was the city of Bubastis, which, according to Herodotus, attracted more visitors during its annual festival than any other celebration in Egypt. And the evidence still exists in the ground. In the late 1800s, archaeologists at Bubastis discovered a cemetery unlike anything seen before. Hundreds of thousands of cat mummies, wrapped in linen, some in painted wrappings, some in small wooden or bronze coffins, all buried with the same care Egyptians gave their human dead.
Here is where it gets strange by modern standards. When a family cat died in ancient Egypt, the entire household entered public mourning. Herodotus, writing around 450 BCE, recorded exactly what that looked like. Every member of the household shaved off their eyebrows. Not their hair, their eyebrows, and remained in that state until the eyebrows grew back completely. Weeks of visible public grief displayed on the face for a cat. Herodotus also notes that when a dog died, the entire body and head were shaved. The eyebrows alone were for cats. Cats held higher mourning status than dogs in ancient Egypt. The deceased cat was then wrapped in linen and brought to Bubastis for burial in the great cat cemetery. Even in death, returning to the house of the goddess.
So what happened when a cat was harmed? For accidental killing, like the Roman, the social consequence was death. Not by official decree, by a public so enraged no authority could contain them. Diodorus Siculus was clear. The pharaoh could not save the Roman. Not because he lacked power, because the taboo ran deeper than political authority. It ran through the belief of every person in the street. And the Persians knew it. When Persian King Cambyses II invaded Egypt in 525 BCE, historical accounts describe soldiers carrying cat images on their shields, and in some versions, releasing live cats onto the battlefield itself. Egyptian soldiers reportedly hesitated to fight, because fighting meant risking harm to the animal that embodied their goddess. An enemy used your religion against you. And
and it may have worked. So here is what ancient Egypt's relationship with cats actually was. It was not sentimentality. It was not eccentricity. It was not even primarily religion. It was a civilization that recognized what was keeping it alive. A small, fast, independent hunter guarding the food that fed the nation, and built an entire sacred system around protecting it. The cat became untouchable because the grain was untouchable. The goddess became powerful because the harvest was powerful. And the mob that killed a Roman diplomat for accidentally killing a cat was not acting out of madness. They were protecting something they genuinely believed was sacred, something that had kept their families fed and safe for 3,000 years. The question worth sitting with is this. We look back at ancient Egypt and see a civilization that worshipped cats. But ancient Egypt looked at cats and saw something that guarded the line between survival and starvation. Who understood the cat better? If this made you see history differently, subscribe. Every week, this channel finds the real story behind the thing everyone thinks they already know. The next one will surprise you.